All right, Shalom. This is the brother Karatazar coming to you with another lesson. And I don't have a title for today's lesson, but with that said, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, from where I learn this truth and continue to learn this truth every day. Much respect to the hopeful elect, scattered abroad, preaching this truth with sincerity. And shalom, a healthy shalom to you brothers and sisters out there listening to my videos and watching my videos. I hope you find, Lord willing, you find these videos edifying. All right. Now I have two videos that I'm going to show you. And one of them's pretty old and one of them's current. But I'm using these videos for edification purposes, and hopefully you get the gist of what I'm saying. You understand, you comprehend. You know, I'm trying to make these scriptures come alive for you. All right. So this is for you brothers and sisters just coming into the truth, or you might have been in the truth. But Lord willing, you find this edifying. And that's all I'm trying to do, is edify you brothers and sisters out there. All right. So I'm gonna play this clip, and it's from it's from a brother who he looks like a Jake, you know. He looks like a Jake, and he was killed. He was killed by some Edomite cops, and they tried to make it look like he died on his own from a car crash. But the truth came out. The Most High made the truth come out. The Most High made the truth be revealed. All right. So that was two judgments. That was judgment on the Jake who was killed, and that was judgment on the Edomite cop, because one of them killed himself. That was judgment on them too. All right, so I'm gonna play the video, and Lord willing, you find this edifying, and I'm gonna break out some scriptures here and there, or maybe towards the end. Lord willing, you brothers and sisters watching, find this edifying. All right, let's go.
All that what I'm about to describe, some of it will be hard to hear. I will also warn you that I'm going to play some tape in a couple of minutes that many people will find hard to watch. I certainly did. But when this story broke today, even though there are stories of this type that seem like they break all the time, this one in particular just seemed to stop the news in its tracks. Certainly for everybody who works on this show, it stopped us all in our tracks. Just kind of, you can't really move on once you've seen something like this. What this is about is something that happened in Louisiana just over 2 years ago. And in West Monroe, Louisiana, there's a hospital there called Glenwood Regional Medical Center. And that night, May 10th in 2019, the emergency room at that hospital received an ambulance, and the ambulance held a 49-year-old man who was handcuffed to a gurney. He was already deceased when the ambulance pulled into Glenwood Regional Medical Center, and they wheeled him into the ER. The ambulance was accompanied by Louisiana State Police. And the police that night told the emergency room doctor who was attending this ambulance that the man who was dead in the ambulance had died on impact when he crashed his car into a tree. That was the explanation for why this man was dead when he arrived at the ER. And the doctor examined the body, examined the man who'd been brought in the ambulance, noted in his doctor's notes that the man was covered in blood and covered in bruises. But he also noted that the man had 2 taser prongs hanging out of his back. Wait a minute. This is supposedly a car crash casualty. What? They're saying he crashed into a tree, died on impact. What, did the tree tase him after he hit it? The ER doctor noted all this in his notes and actually wrote in his notes that night, he wrote, quote, "does not add up." Because, right, it did not add up. And yet that really was the official explanation that Louisiana State Police tried to go with for how a 49-year-old barber from in West Monroe, Louisiana, a man named Ronald Green, that's the story they tried to tell about how he died that night. Louisiana State Police told Mr. Green's family that he died when he crashed his car during a chase. Troopers said they tried to pull him over for some sort of unspecified traffic violation shortly after midnight, about 30 miles south of the Arkansas state line outside Monroe. They said he died on impact when he crashed into a tree. It took the ER doctor pointing out the freaking taser prongs still hanging out of his back. It took Mr. Green's family filing a wrongful death suit for police to admit that, yes, okay, something else might have happened. No, they can't come up with an explanation for how the tree fired those taser prongs into him. Police released a one-page new report with a new explanation that said, quote, Green was taken into custody after resisting arrest and a struggle with troopers. And then inexplicably, he became, quote, unresponsive. He became unresponsive and died on his way to the hospital. The report did not describe any use of force by the troopers in this instance. And that was literally all the Louisiana State Police said about the death of Ronald Green. That's all they have ever said. To this day, more than 2 years later, the Louisiana State Police have still given no further explanation of Ronald Green's death in their custody. And crucially, for all of this time, they have refused to release the troopers' body camera footage from that night. It took 474 days after Mr. Green died for the state police to even open an internal investigation into what happened. And that was only when their hand was forced. Summer of protests over the police murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis had put the spotlight back on cases like Mr. Green's. Perhaps more presciently, in terms of seeing what impact it might have, Mr. Green's family also took the radical step of releasing graphic photos to the public in an effort to demonstrate to the public that the police explanation of what killed Ronald Green was a ridiculous explanation. They released photos of the condition of the body when they received it. They showed deep bruises, deep cuts to Ronald Green's face and scalp. They also showed his vehicle. They released a photo of his vehicle. It's the car he'd been driving the night that he died, showed that the car was only mildly damaged. The airbags hadn't deployed. This was not a car that had been involved in a major crash that had mortally wounded its driver. In the midst of all of this, the Justice Department announced that it had opened a civil rights investigation into Ronald Green's death. Can you imagine how bad a case has to look for the Trump Justice Department to open a civil rights investigation? Really? Did they even do that? And still, the Louisiana State Police would not say anything else about Ronald Green's death. Wouldn't release the body cam footage, wouldn't afford any further explanation of what happened. Last September, they finally decided to fire one of the officers that was involved in Mr. Green's death, although they would not say why they were firing him. Tragically, that officer died in a single vehicle car crash just hours after he was told that he was fired. Days later, the Associated Press obtained audio of that same officer describing how he beat and choked Ronald Green the night of his death. On a recording from his body cam microphone, that officer who was in the one car crash, was heard telling somebody very matter-of-factly that he, quote, beat the ever-living F out of Ronald Green. He said, quote, choked him and everything else. He was spitting blood everywhere, and all of a sudden he just went limp.
After, my mother's passing, I knew, number one, that life goes by.
After that horrifying reporting, Ronald Green's family was finally, after a year and a half, allowed to see the body cam footage from the night that he died. The family's attorney said that Mr. Green's mother and sister wailed like they were at a funeral when they finally saw the footage. He said it was damning footage that showed the troopers choking and beating Ronald Green, repeatedly jolting him with tasers, dragging him face down across the pavement. That attorney, Lee Merritt, who also watched the footage, told the Associated Press, quote, this family has been lied to the entire time about what happened. The video was very difficult to watch. It's one of those videos like George Floyd and even Ahmaud Arbery, where it is just so graphic. Well, today what happened is that today we learned to our collective horror that the attorney for the Green family was right when he described it that way. Because today the Associated Press obtained and published edited excerpts from the Louisiana State Troopers body cam footage from the night that Ronald Green died. And I will tell you that this stopped the news today for a reason. I'm going to show you some of what the AP published today. As I said, it is not a pleasure to watch. That is a grave understatement. It is disturbing to watch. And the nightmarish nature of the video of this incident is compounded by how long all of this was kept secret, how blatantly state troopers lied about what really happened. There is something even worse about the fact that we are only seeing this footage now more than 2 years after the fact. And not because the police finally decided to release it, but because a dogged reporter from the Associated Press was finally able to get it. And that's the only reason it has come out. Again, it is more than 2 years after this happened, and they have had this all the time. So here's the first bit of video we're going to play tonight. This is when police approach Ronald Green's car. They have been chasing him. This is the chase has come to an end. I'll tell you again, this footage is excerpted and edited by the Associated Press. We don't have the raw tape. The full footage they obtained is 46 minutes long. They say there's long stretches where Mr. Green is not on camera. The trooper whose body camera footage it is appears to cut the microphone off about halfway through. That makes it hard to discern what's going on in some moments. We don't have footage from other troopers at the scene. The AP itself is cautioning that it can be difficult to piece together what's happening at all times. But in some of it, it's clear. Like in this clip where police first approach Ronald Green's car, it certainly appears that he is not resisting and, in fact, is pleading with the troopers.
Let me see your hands! Let me see your hands, mother! Come here, mother! I got Okay. Come here, mother. Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh, get it! Let me see your hands! Let me see your hands! Okay. I'm scared. I'm your brother. I'm scared.
It says at the end there, officer, I'm scared. I'm your brother. I'm scared. We also have another portion of the body cam video after the troopers get Mr. Green out of the car. And you'll see Mr. Green on the ground here, appearing pretty motionless, while an officer tases him again. The officer then handcuffs him. Mr. Green is clearly bloodied at this point. The officers, part of the reason we can confirm that is that the officers are commenting about the amount of his blood that they've got on them and the fact that they are wiping it off themselves.
Sir, get on the ground! Get on the ground! Taser!
Make sure engine's rolling.
Oh! Get up here! Get that door! Oh, you all right? Blood all over. I hope this guy ain't got AIDS.
The AP tonight has posted one other portion of the video. This portion doesn't have sound. We believe what happened here is the trooper turned off the microphone on his body cam, but you can see here Ronald Green handcuffed on the ground. The AP reports that later, after a several-minute stretch in which Ronald Green is not seen on camera, he appears again limp, unresponsive, bleeding from his head, bleeding from his face. He's then loaded onto an ambulance gurney. His arm is cuffed to the bed rail. But here what you will see is an officer putting leg shackles on him. And then I'm not going to show you this part, but what you can see in part of this video is the officer dragging Mr. Green by those leg shackles across the ground face down. Again, his handcuffs are on him behind his back. His legs are shackled. He is face down and limp, and they are dragging him by the leg shackles face down across the ground. Now, the Louisiana State Police tonight would not comment on the content of these videos, except to say that the release of the video was not authorized. Yeah, tell us about it. They said the release of these videos, quote, undermines the investigative process. Yes, how is that investigative process going? Well, the officer who dragged Ronald Green on his face by his leg shackles, he was suspended from duty for 50 hours for that offense. 50 hours. Another of the troopers is now on unpaid leave, but not for Ronald Green's death. He and several other troopers from the same unit were arrested a few months ago for beating up other black men in their custody. They were also discovered to be bragging to each other over text messages about the violence they have inflicted on black men they have arrested. But there's also the federal investigation into Ronald Green's death. There's also his family's lawsuit against the state police.
Get out! Whoa, what did I do? Get out! Whoa, what the hell did I do, dude? Roll over on your face. Roll over on your stomach. What did I do? Over on your stomach. What did I do, man? Over on your stomach now. Okay, bro. Okay. Roll over on your stomach. Okay, bro, don't shoot me, man. Get on your stomach. What did I do? Roll onto your stomach. Am I gonna go? Yeah. Onto your stomach. I didn't do anything. What the hell? Put your hands out in front of you. Okay. Okay. Put your hands out in front of you. Hands all the way out. Hands all the way out in front of you. Okay. Straight out in front of you. Okay. Fighting. Help! 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 I don't have a warrant, bro. Bro, I don't have a warrant, bro. Get on your face. Bro, I don't. Get on your face. I don't have a warrant, dude. Get on your face. Okay. Okay. Get on your face now. Okay. Oh, get on your face. Okay, bro. Okay. Get on your face. You're killing me. On your face. You're killing me, bro. On your face. You're killing me. Get on your face. Roll over on your face. You're killing me. Turn over. If you move, I will shoot you. You move, I will shoot you. Do it. Do not move. I didn't do anything. Even run. Don't move. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. I didn't even run. Stop fighting. Stop fighting.
So as you can see, in both of these cases, both of these Jakes pleaded for their life. So we're going to get into some scriptures on that, all right? And the first is from Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges. Therefore, if not, where and who is he? And as you can see, in the first video that I showed, the police, you know, the wicked police, they covered up the case. They tried to hide it. All right? They tried to hide it. So the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. The wicked is Esau, Edom, these Edomites, E. Diddy. All right? E. done it. All right? So let's get into some more scriptures. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. All right? So this is a warning here. It's telling you to beware him, because Esau, Edom is your enemy. All right? Let's get into another scripture. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right? His wickedness is just going to get older and older. It's never going to get better and better. It's just going to keep on getting worse and worse. All right? Matthew 5:25. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. So agree with thy adversary quickly. Agree with Esau, E. Diddy. Agree to him quickly. And if you don't, you see what the consequence is. You see what will happen. All right. This is Genesis 27:41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father at hand, then I will slay my brother. All right. So it's that perpetual hatred. It's that hatred that Esau has for us. All right. Let's go into Genesis 4:8. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. All right. So we going to something else. All right. We're going a little deeper. All right. Cain is Esau Edom, and he's just reincarnated. We are Abel. Jacob is Abel, reincarnated. The two brothers. All right. One was jealous of the other one's blessing from the Most High. All right. And the same thing happened. Cain slew his brother, and Esau swore to slew Jacob. But the Most High ain't having that. All right. But but we are being chastised. We are being judged, and Most High is using Esau to chastise us. All right. So let's go to Isaiah 10:5. O Assyrian, the rod of my anger and the staff in their hand is my indignation. So the Assyrians are the Edomites, and the Most High is using them as a staff of his anger. All right. Let's go into the word indignation.
Indignation.
Anger, annoyance, provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment. All right. So we provoke the Lord's anger. So that's why we're being chastised. And then you saw in the first video, the brother, the Jake, he had called out for Jesus, which is Caesar Borgia. He's calling out for his slave master, his oppressor, to save him. All right. And that's not going to happen. You calling on the wrong name. That name holds no power. That's your slave master. All right. You calling on Caesar Borgia, crime boss. All right. So then, this is Deuteronomy 32:39. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver me out of my hand. So the Most High, He kills. He makes alive. He kills, He takes life, and He gives life. He heals, He wounds. And nobody can take you out of His hand. All right? So let's go to Ezekiel 35:5. Salakia. Let's go to another scripture. All right. We're going to go to, because we was on that same note, this is Hebrews 10:31. It is a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living God, the living power. All right. So if you go back, it says, see that now even I am He, and there is no other God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Salakia, and I heal, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. It's a fearful thing to fall in the hand of the living God, the living power. Sheesh. This is Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. So Esau Edom has a perpetual hatred. E Diddy has a perpetual hatred for us, for Jacob, all right, and the children of Israel. A perpetual hatred. And this is a time of our iniquity, our calamity. All right? Because you see, our iniquity is sky high. It's going through the roof. Let's go to Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. You know, Babylon the Great will destroy you. This is not your rest, Israel. This is not your rest. Y'all need to get up out of this place. Y'all need to stop investing and thinking that y'all safe. That this place is a safe haven for you. This place is not. All right? And then if you go to, let me see, I think I got something else. All right? We're going to go into... Bear with me, y'all. All right, so we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28:66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. And as you see in these videos, all right, their life was definitely in doubt. And they shall fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. All right? And this is all prophecy. This is all prophecy. All right? So, Lord willing, you few brothers and sisters watching my video found this edifying. All right? And Shalom, and Lord willing, I'll see you in the next video.